Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm the only one allowed to have slides today, so but it's the end of the day, so I want to keep you alive. So my name is Mauro Sette. I'm the CEO and the founder of Medyria. Medyria is a Swiss startup. We are based in the canton Zurich in a city called Winterthur, and we have developed a unique technology, a sensor to measure the blood flow velocity from within the heart and from within the coronaries. And this is the reason why we did it. So there are 130 million people living with a pathology called angina pectoris. Okay, it's a very limiting condition. These people cannot climb stairs, they cannot walk, and sometimes if they like run to catch the bus, they have really chest pain. And this is the beginning, and is a very serious condition that can evolve in the so-called myocardial infarction, which is something that everybody sadly knows very well. So the angina pectoris can be caused by, you have two origins. One is an epicardial origin, where you have a blockage into the coronaries, and this is what you see on the left side, and more or less 40% of the people that have angina, they have a cause in the coronaries, okay? But not everybody knows that there is a second pathology called ANOCA, so angina with non-obstructed coronary arteries. And this is a pathology that has origin in the microvascular, so we're talking about microvascular dysfunction, or you have a vasomotion disorder, so your vessels, they don't contract when they should and they don't relax when they should. So you have vasospasm and other condition. And this, up to 10 years ago was called the cardiac syndrome X, meaning that nobody knew what it was, okay? If somebody would go to the doctor with this syndrome, the doctor would say, sorry, you don't have an obstruction, so it's not a cardiac problem. If you have chest pain climbing the stairs, take the elevator. This was the condition. But then luckily, with the time, people have understood that this is a pathology, it is important. It is even more important than the normal coronary disease because it has a high prevalence, and it has also a high prevalence in women. It is a women disease, okay? While we have men, which historically they are the one carrying over the stress and dying for a heart attack in the history, and then we have solved the problem for the men, women develop like myocardial infarction in a different way. Women are different than men. I don't know if you knew that, but today is clear. So what happened is that it is clear today how to diagnose the disease of the arteries, okay? You insert a catheter and you measure the pressure across the stenosis, and you measure the pressure drop. And this is an index called FFR, fractional flow reserve. You go to the hospital, they measure this index. If you are below 0.8, you need a stent, you need a balloon. If it is above 0.8, you're fine, you can go home. In the other case, you need to measure flow, okay? Because in order to measure the resistance of your vasculature, you need to measure pressure and flow. And the flow measurement is becoming a very important need in the clinical, in the hospitals, because it's the only way to make diagnosis of this disease. And if for the pressure measurement, there are more than 10 companies out there developing a product and selling this product to measure pressure, there is only one company measuring flow, and they do it extremely bad. It's super inaccurate, it's difficult to be used. So that's why at Medyria, we have decided to develop the PyCath. Okay, we are engineers, we have developed a wonderful sensors that can measure blood flow velocity like nobody else. It's super easy to be used, it takes only 50 seconds to make a measurement against 15 minutes of the standard of care. And we have also equipped this catheter with a pressure sensor, so we can measure blood flow velocity, pressure, and it's the only device performing the so-called full physiology assessment. So we can tell to a patient whatever disease they have, like obstructive disease, ANOCA, we are able to characterize it. This is the device, so you connect the catheter to this device, you have clear tracing, clear imaging, and the doctor knows what the patient have. We have already integrated a part of artificial intelligence into this processing. So we are using machine learning to detect the artifacts and to make sure that the measurement that we are doing is always correct independently on how the doctor placed the catheter into the vessel. So it's already a very smart system. And we have proven that within clinical trials with 17 patients. So the device is not yet approved. We're working now for the FDA clearance to launch it on the US market. We made a pilot trial with 17 patients, and the doctor were really astonished. We took a doctor that has been working with the standard of care. Standard of care means 15 minutes of going back and forth or injecting drugs, a very complex device, and you get even inaccurate measurement. It took 50 seconds for him to do the measurement. And this was really incredible with super high accuracy. So we have 6% accuracy, which is super good. And we had no problem at all for the safety. So no safety-related adverse events during the trial. So now, where we are now? So we have developed a technology. We have developed the sensor, and we have developed a measurement that has a lot of meaning inside, okay? And today we are completely underusing it, okay? We're using 10% of the possible information content that this tracing have. Why we're using 10%? Because nobody has ever seen those tracing. Those tracing are completely new, and the quality that we can provide today of the intravascular pressure and blood flow velocity was never seen before. So we have now a full science to be built on top of that. And now can we do that? We can do it using artificial intelligence. So what does it mean, artificial intelligence? It means that we can take, so today in the hospitals, there you have a lot of information generator, information sources. You have the ECG, you have the measurement, you have the historical records of the patient that are all stored in an electronic way and they're completely usable, okay? So then why not taking this information, the intraoperative information, preoperative information about the history of the patient, and merging it into a tool that the doctor can use to get the best possible diagnosis for the patient, which will be directly evolving in an action, so a therapy for the patient. This is what we can do today and what we are going to do in the future. Moreover, this is what is really frustrating to me, and then what I really want to change is that doctors have been working to create guidelines and to create standardized procedure, okay? And they're nice, piece of paper. There are like under 200 pages of document that the Society of Cardiologists have validated and they have approved, and they stay on paper. Okay, sometimes you have an app on the mobile phone and you can do a search. But there is today no tool that really can online search the indication in this tool and merge it with the reality that you have in the hospitals. Okay, it's always based on the memory of the doctor to remember. Okay, what are the guidelines for the coronary disease? While we can actually bring the guidelines live onto the patient table and helping to take really the best decision for the patient. That's it. That's the whole goal. So that's our view. So we have developed the technology, we have developed the sensor, we want to merge it with preoperative information and develop this new physical AI, which is able to also assess the patient condition and assess which is the best therapy for that particular patient that you have on the table, okay? Something that you would do for a young patient is something completely different that you will get for an elderly patient, of course. Okay, that's an idea that we can have for the workflow. So the patient enter into the hospital, it has an inocuous condition. You measure something, and for example, you find out that the best cutoff value for the coronary flow reserve index, it is 1.9 for this patient. So the system will tell you directly, okay, this patient has this particular condition because they have checked all the different sources. That's the therapy for this patient. Okay. And the opportunity is there, so to improve the workflow really of the doctor, to make his life easier, and to allow him to really be in control of the workflow that there is in the hospital. So what is our vision? So we went from a standard of care. We made a big improvement of the standard of care with the PyCath, which has a superior hardware, superior sensing. But then the job is not done. We need to further, evolve this system into something that is more holistic for the patient, that can really serve the patient in all his journey. The opportunity is there, and is there also economically. So angina patient, they cost to the healthcare system more or less $50,000 in 2 years, not because they are costly, but because the doctors are failing to make the right diagnosis. So this 50,000 is really a patient that is going from one doctor to the other, not finding a solution, repeating exam, and starting over again. Sometimes the doctors prefer to give a trial and error therapy. So I give you this therapy. If it works and you feel better, then it means that it's the right therapy. Otherwise, come back and I will try to give you another pills. But then what happens is that the compliance of the patient is lost. Imagine that you go to a doctor, or imagine your mother going to the doctor, and the doctor doesn't find a solution. What your mother will do is say, okay, this doctor is stupid, doesn't understand. I will go to the doctor of my friend, which is better and will understand. And that's the cost that we are having. And that's the cost that we are all paying in the healthcare systems. So that's our vision for our PyCath. I'm a startupper and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm pushing my product. But I think that the same logic and the same approach can be open and applied to all the healthcare system and all the immense amount of data that we are producing every day in every hospital. Thank you very much.